not the percentage calculator. Good reads. I hope this is interesting for you to watch. I can't find it. I can't find it. I can't find it. I need my laptop. Hold on. Oh shit, yeah. Sometimes my laptop doesn't work if it's not connected to power because it's like 8 years old and it hates me. Okay. Wee. Hi guys, what's up? I just filmed another video, so I feel weird introing it. Today's video is going to be my June wrap up. And the first book that I read in June was The Inmate by Freida McFadden. I don't have my copy here because I lent it to my friend. I was messaging her the entire time that I was reading it, and then she had said originally like, oh, I don't want to read that because I heard that it was really bad. And then after I had been messaging her on my updates, she was like, okay, I do want to read that, can I borrow it? So then when she was reading it, she was messaging me all her updates. But yeah, anyways, I don't have it back yet, so that's why I don't have it in front of me. I have a really descriptive review. My review says 3.5. That's it. So The Inmate basically is by Freida McFadden. It is a thriller. The guiltiest people aren't always the ones behind bars. That's what it says on Goodreads. Anyways, so basically this girl is a nurse practitioner and she gets a job in a prison. She starts working there and it turns out that someone she had put behind bars previously is a prisoner there. And it kind of just follows the story between them and then other people outside of the prison and her history with that person, and it's like all very convoluted. Is that the right word? I feel like I used it right. And yeah, it gets like really crazy and you don't know who to trust, and then you're like, oh, I think I do know who to trust, and you're like, well, I think that person's guilty, and then you're wrong, and you're like, wow, oh my god. Anyways, so it was really crazy and I loved it. It wasn't the best thriller I've read by her, but it was good. I did find that the entire time I was thinking, wow, this main character is like pretty stupid. That was why it was like a 3.5 and not a 4, because I constantly was just like, what was her name again? Brooke. I felt like Brooke was kind of dumb. A lot of the time, if someone's dumb in a book, I'm like, okay, I don't really blame you. Like, I would probably be dumb too. However, you know, there were signs. There were red flags. There was things going on, like, to her, what do you call that? Like, I don't know where my words have gone. She was being dumb, but only half, because half of her was right, half of her was wrong, and there was this like, you know, you never really know with a thriller, basically is what I'm saying. Anyway, I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. So that's my review of that. The Inmate was 3.5 stars. I feel like I said that really weird, but whatever, we can just ignore that. Move on. The next book I read was Starside by Alex Aster. This one, don't know how I feel about that. I mean, it's a lovely, lovely paperback and it's pretty. I like the color. This was interesting. I don't really know how to feel about it. So what did I rate it is my question. I was expecting a lot from this when I went into it because I had only seen like 5-star reviews from all my favorite book talkers, etc. I gave it a 4.25 and I wrote, the middle was a dash slow and repetitive, but the end was way more exciting. I kind of hated it, but in a good way. I don't know what I meant by that last sentence. It would have made more sense in my head, I'm sure, while I was writing it down, but okay. At first I was like, wow, he's really rude. And then I was like, okay, I don't hate this. But I think it wasn't as good to me personally as what people had built it up to be. Excuse the plane driving by. Flying. I was expecting a little bit more from it than I got, and the middle was I do remember thinking that the middle was very repetitive. So like, I don't know exactly from where, but like I felt like the middle chunk of it was kind of like, we're walking, and then I almost die, and then we're walking, and then I almost die, and then we're walking, and then I almost die. So I don't know. It just felt like kind of like the same thing over and over again, but in a different font. But I know a lot of people like that. I personally am not the biggest like quest loving girl, so maybe this just wasn't the right, I don't want to say genre. I do love the genre. I'm a romantasy fan, but maybe there wasn't the right setting for me or whatever. I still really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. I just got a little bit bored in the middle. But yeah, so 4.25 is still a really good rating. It just wasn't as exciting as I feel like people built it up to be for me personally. So that's Starside. The next one, I have so much to say and I don't want to say any of it. I don't want to talk about this at all. This book ruined my life for like 3 days. No, more than 3 days, because I don't know how long I was reading it for, but if there is one thing you take away from this, it is the trigger warnings. They're there, okay? There's that whole page there and then that one there. And that's not even what got me. It's literally just the fact that I thought I could handle a tragedy, okay? And I was wrong. I want my books to have a happy ending. I didn't know that before I read this because I had never read a tragedy before. I read Wrecked by Brie Elmina and it was a mistake. And that is your warning. This is a romantic tragedy. It does not have a happy ending. Nothing about the ending of this book is happy. Nothing at all. There is no silver lining. I was expecting it to be like, oh, it's devastating, but there's like a little silver lining and there's something maybe good happens in an epilogue or some shit. No. No good shit happening in the epilogue. Nothing. Was there even an epilogue? I don't know. Yes, there is an epilogue. But there was no redeeming nothing about this book. This is literally, it starts out with a little bit, well, it starts out with basically telling you what's gonna happen in the end, in the prologue. And then it goes into pain, and then a little bit of hope, and then more pain, and then worse pain, and then the worst pain you've ever imagined, and then a little bit of hope, and then the worst pain you could possibly ever have. Oh my god, you are crying your eyes out, sobbing, weeping on the floor, and then more pain. That's what this book is. So that's your warning. This book had me quietly scream crying in this exact spot at 12:30 in the morning on a school night. I don't go to school. I was going to work the next day. And the next day when I went to work, I like trauma dumped the contents of this book to my co-worker when I got into work. And as I was getting towards saying what was happening at the end, this co-worker was like, oh my gosh, you need to stop talking about this. Your eyes are getting glassy. You're gonna cry again. So basically, I'll read you the back because I don't want to put this in my own words because I will just say all the spoilers out of anger, not out of not knowing that they're spoilers. It says, fate is a fickle thing. It can it can lead you down a path of pain or it can take you on a journey toward happiness. There is no happiness in this book. There is no equity in the unpredictable. Fate is inevitable. Not everyone is destined for a happy ending. No one is destined for a happy ending in this book. Not every story will work out in the end. Not every love is meant to survive. Understatement of the fucking year. Some believe we are in control of our destiny, that we determine the outcome of our lives, the people we love, and the path we walk. But I didn't choose to survive a plane crash. I didn't choose to be trapped on an island with the man who once crushed my soul. I didn't choose to reopen my heart to a love so powerful that the end of it would be unsurvivable. I didn't want to fall in love with my sister's fiance. It's not as bad as it sounds. That specific line. The book, yes. That specific line, not as bad as it sounds. To feel the insurmountable pain that followed my rescue, or let go of a man that would own my heart until the day I die. But I am no longer allowing fate to decide my future. This next path is mine. The back of the book basically tells you the entire plot, I'm not gonna lie. Just, you know, in riddles. This was awfully painful. I did enjoy it. No, I didn't. The writing was like, I was immersed in the story, put it that way. I was immersed in the story. It wasn't badly written. I gave it 3 stars because it ruined my day for multiple days in a row. That's all I have to say about that. I like things that are like pain throughout the whole book and then there's a happy ending. I don't like things that are pain throughout the whole book and then there's no happy ending. But I didn't know that because I've never read a tragedy before. Okay, this next one is so exciting. The next book I read was Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. And yes, I got the cover with Ryan Gosling, I got the cover with Ryan Gosling on it because I love Ryan Gosling. If you don't know what this is, are you living under a rock? Are you living in a cave? How do you have the internet? Just curious. Anyways, this is like sci-fi. That is the dumbest way I've ever started a sentence. It says, Ryland Grace is the sole survivor on a desperate last chance mission, and if he fails, humanity and Earth itself will perish. Basically, the sun is dying because of this like parasitic thing. Parasitic? I don't know. This organism that's basically eating the fucking sun. So he wakes up in space, in a spaceship, and he's like, well shit, I guess I'm trying to save Earth. And then, yeah, he meets another spaceship with a crew member that is not human, and it is about their story in space, and it also has a lot of flashbacks to when he was still on Earth, and it's amazing. I started reading this in March and I kept just putting it aside and being like, nah, I don't feel like reading that. No, I don't feel like reading that. I will say the sciencey parts of this, like the inner monologue of him being like this and this and this and this about the science stuff, that really threw me off, and I was kind of like, I don't know what you're talking about, so my brain has shut off. And that's why I kept stopping reading this. However, the story itself and the writing is actually really good. The story is really good. I just don't have the brain capacity to understand science. That's the only reason that I put off, a leaf just fell into the window. That is the only reason that I put off finishing this book. I really, really loved this. I rated it 4 stars. I love the story, I love the ending. I was really scared about what the ending was gonna be, but I really liked it. So a big thumbs up for Project Hail Mary. I really, really enjoyed this. I can't wait to watch the movie. I didn't go see it in the cinema because I wanted to read the book first, and obviously I just finished the book. I'm pretty sure it's going to be streaming on Prime very soon, so I'm so excited for that. I can't wait to just sit alone in my house and watch it in peace. I don't like going to the cinema because I can't handle the people chewing popcorn near me. It makes me want to scream. Very, very good experience with this one, eventually. Then we have, I'm about to talk about the worst book I've ever read. Get ready. The next book I read was Bourbon and Lies by Victoria Wilder. This was my book club pick. We, a couple of my friends and I started a book club, and this was the first choice. 2 of my friends were like, we should pick this because it looks bad. No offense, okay, but let me just preface my review of this with no offense to the author. I know there's a lot of people that love this. It has like 4 stars on Goodreads. So I am assuming that my friends and I are in the minority when it comes to this book. But for me personally, I don't know if I just hate cowboy romance or if I just hate this specific book, but I rated this 1 star. You see all of these tabs? You see them all there? 98% of that is criticism. So there's just, I'm gonna have to read you some sort of a quote somewhere. Okay, I will read you this one. It says, it's the dusting of dark hair along his chest that operates like a roadmap for his body, allowing me to confirm where it ends and where his abs begin. And my tab says, not the ab location confirmation. It's just, there's a lot of interesting cringe dialogue and stuff. This is an awful line. So this says, this is dialogue. Someone says, still haven't thrown it in Hadley yet, have you? Thrown it in is crazy. That's such a wild thing to say. This tab just says, overusing the word pussy, hate it. Hate it, hate it. I have a tab that says they're being way too serious about the harmonica crap. If you know, you know. There's so much cringy dialogue, and I don't want to keep, I can't talk about this anymore, honestly. It's just, there was some things in here. It was mostly the cringe dialogue and the weird bourbon spice that I just wasn't a fan of, and also the story was meant to be suspenseful, but I didn't care about the characters at all, so it didn't really like do anything. Like, and then also the main character, like one of the main characters is meant to be like an ex-cop, and then like at the end something happens where it's like, okay, you should have been able to deal with that, and he just didn't. I don't know. There was just, it just fell so flat, and it was just kind of disgusting at times. I didn't like it. I can't even tell you what this was meant to be about. There's this girl, she goes to this place and then stuff happens. It sucks. I gave this 1 star. Worst book I've ever read. The next book I read was Verity by Colleen Hoover. I was never going to read a Colleen Hoover book. I've heard so many bad things about this author, but I kept seeing people say that this book specifically was really good. So I read it and I gave it 2 stars. This is about an author, and then like she is asked to write the rest of a series that a different author had started as like a collaboration, but like the other author was not capable of finishing her series because she had been in an accident. She goes to do that, and then she just like starts sleeping with that author's husband. So yeah, there's like a lot of other this book specifically, also that might have been a spoiler, but also like this book has been out forever and I don't give a fuck. It sucks. So I wrote down engaging but also very anticlimactic, and the twist wasn't very twisty. All the characters were cooked, including the kid, and for a thriller it was more of a weird toxic romance. So that is my review of this book. I also felt like I did check like the front and the back to see if there was like any trigger warnings in this, and I couldn't find any, but this has like weird, like I feel like it should have like child abuse, miscarriage related trigger warnings in it, maybe. Do with that information what you will. Like obviously like those things don't affect me, but I was reading it and I was like, that's weird that this doesn't have any warnings, because it is like kind of disgusting the way that it talks about like children and pregnancy and stuff. So it's just a weird book. It's a weird book and I didn't like it. Okay, the next book I read I was so excited for, and I have very mixed feelings about it. I read Until I Die by Deirdre Duncan. And this is a dark dystopian romance. The back of it is too long for me to get like a good something out of it. I don't know. I'll just read you my review. So I gave this 4 stars, and there's kind of an asterisk next to that because this is a book that I have read before. I have never read it before, but I have read it before. My review says, it was a dash too similar to Alchemized. I love that book more than any other, so I enjoyed this by default almost. I don't know how to feel about the overwhelming potential alleged plagiarism, but I still love the story. So the characters were different, but like the outline of what was going on wasn't super different. It was basically like if Alchemized was dystopian instead of fantasy. It was kind of if like Daggermouth and the Hunger Games and Alchemized had a baby. This had a medic FMC and an executioner MMC, and it was very much like a love story where they can't be together but they want to be together, and it was very Alchemized-y. Their relationship, their dynamic was so similar to that book. A different backstory and a different this and that, so it was like, it was different enough that I feel like I could, like, I separated it in my head, but certain things that I read, I kept just being like, that is so similar to Alchemized. But I still loved it because I do love that dynamic. So I don't know really how to go about reviewing this, but I enjoyed it nonetheless. I just feel like it might be a little bit of a problem. That's all I'm gonna say about that. The last book that I read in June was Best Offer Wins by Marissa Cashino, and I rated this book 3.5 stars. So this was interesting. I bought this because I heard Jamie talking about it. So the main character in this book is called Margot. Basically, she hears about this house that she really wants to put an offer in on, and then she gets really insane and unhinged and does a bunch of crazy shit to try and get it. There's so much more to it than that. My review says Margot is next level unhinged in a very unlikable way. Intriguing story nonetheless. So it was intriguing, it was super weird and crazy. I really didn't like the main character. She was giving me so much anxiety. This main character is like the definition of someone who has never felt anxiety in their life. And I think she may have even talked about anxiety, but she has anxiety in a non-social way. She has anxiety about like not getting what she wants rather than like feeling awkward in social situations. She is very bold in social situations, and it made me really uncomfortable to read about. I was getting secondhand anxiety through this entire book, secondhand embarrassment through this entire book. It was so insane. I did like the ending, kind of. Like, I didn't like the ending, but I liked that it went from like super unhinged in an embarrassing way to super unhinged in a criminal way. That kind of made it better for me. I don't know if that's a problem, but it was definitely interesting. It was not the best thriller I've ever read. I keep saying that. What is the best thriller I've ever read? I think The Housemaid and The Housemaid's Secret are quite up there. But yeah, it was good nonetheless. I liked it. That was the last book that I read in June. I did start reading 2 other books. I am halfway through The Reaper by Runix, and I'm halfway through Bittersweet Memories by Katarina Mora. So I will probably finish both of them in July, along with the rest of my July TBR, which I just filmed a video for. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. I hope that it was insightful. If it wasn't, I deeply apologize for wasting your time. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, and please subscribe to my channel for more videos just like this one, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!